Uh, yes, ma'am.
Depends on everybody is joining us. I think we can start actually the introduction and everything can be
Sure, ma'am.
started.
Sure, ma'am. We can start.
Okay.
People are joining. I
Yeah.
will control also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Registrar sir, can we have you on the screen?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Bhaskar sir, can you please open your camera?
Ma'am, Bhaskar, I do not have the camera facility because
Okay.
camera.
Okay.
Sorry to say, I
Okay,
have
it's okay.
already
It's okay.
requested.
It's okay, sir. It's okay. It's okay, sir. Okay, so with due permission of my dignitaries, I'm starting today's program. A very hearty good afternoon to all. On behalf of IS University, IS Foundation for Incubation and Entrepreneurship, in association with Institution Innovation Council, I, Ankita Namdev, welcome all the dignitaries and participants to this live virtual session on topic Lean Startup and Minimum Viable Products. I would like to extend my heartiest welcome to our guest speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Bhaskar Gupta, Dean Academics, IIMT College of Polytechnic, Greater Noida. Dr. Jyotiram Savle, sir, Registrar IES University, Bhopal. Dr. Dipen Bhanoria, sir, the moderator for today's webinar. Before we commence with today's program, I would like to present a brief description of IES. Infotech Education Society has been in the field of education for past 23 years and has been enrolled as the most promising educational institute of Central India. Providing education from nursery to doctoral level, IES University is well known for its excellence in overall development-based education of a student to provide skill building, entrepreneurship development, and creation of leading professionals. IES University keeps on taking such initiative for the continuous development of both the student and faculty members. We are always thankful to Engineer B.S. Yadav, sir, Honorable Chancellor IS University, for his generous presence and who have encouraged and motivated us by his never-ending hard work, passion, foresight, and education system. I would request Dr. Jyotiram Savle, sir, to accord the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ankita. A very hearty good afternoon to all and warm welcome to our expert and participants to this live session on the topic Lean Startup and Minimum Viable Product. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our guest speaker of today's session, Dr. Bhaskar Gupta ji, Dean Academics, IIMT College of Polytechnic, Greater Noida. I would also like to acknowledge our Honorable Chancellor Engineer V.S. Yadav sir, who provides us with such opportunities to widen our knowledge horizons. I'm sure that this virtual exciting and fruitful for everyone, because this lean startup, yesterday, day before yesterday only, I was reading in the newspaper that we Indians are having the largest startup throughout the world. So the next generation or this generation is going to be profitable more and more with this startup. So it's our great honor, Dr. Bhaskar Gupta ji, with due presence of viewers and guidance, our students will nourish more and more. Thank you for this session. Thank you very much, and I welcome on behalf of IS University. Yes, please go ahead.
Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir, for providing us such welcoming words. Now, to take the session forward and to present the profile of our eminent guest, I invite Dr. Dipen Bhanoria, sir, moderator for the webinar. So please take the mic.
Okay. Thank you, Ankita ma'am. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today's session, Dr. Bhaskar Gupta, sir. He is a veteran academician come research scientist and director and ITRA Technical Campus, joined as an officiating director and dean academics at IIMT Group of Colleges, Greater Noida in 2020. Dr. Gupta completed his BE in 2001 and MTech with honors in 2006. With electronics and communication has been a core area. Dr. Gupta, in his academic career spanning for more than 19 years now, has taught various subjects at both UG and PG level in many renowned institutes such as AKGEC, ABES, IMS, and DIT. He is presently working as a president of IIC Cell and trained as an Innovation Ambassador by Ministry of Education Innovation Cell. He is also the coordinator for NISP and ARIA. He has been taking session on innovations, entrepreneurship, design thinking, IPR, BMC, technology readiness level, critical thinking since last 10 years across the country. He is the startup founder. He has more than 2 Indian patent filed, 2 copyrights, and 2 book chapters in CRC Press. Dr. Gupta wears many hats as an academic professional. His work, other than basic teaching, including publishing and presenting several papers in national and international journals, guiding MTech projects, working on various state and central government sponsored projects, and traveling around USA, South Korea, Oman, Afghanistan, Dubai, Ethiopia on academic cum research mission in association with world's renowned universities. Notable amongst his R&D achievements are commercialization of electronic eye for blind people in collaboration with MSME in Delhi, developing UAVs in collaboration with Korean Aerospace Industry Association, South Korea, working on DRDO CVRDE sponsored projects on robotics, completing NASCOM-based project on software-defined radio, and mentoring students for Microsoft Imagine Cup competition under software category. Dr. Bhaskar Gupta had been the director of SSITM Aligarh, BIR TM Khurja, and NITRA Technical Campus Ghaziabad, hence having substantial exposure to administrative affairs. Besides, he is a fellow member of IEEE MTT, IEIETE, and IIRS Dehradun. He had been 6 times coordinator for IIT Delhi Virtual Lab Program and working as a nodal coordinator for IIRS, ISRO Outreach Program, and IIT SWAYAM NPTEL Program. Now I request Dr. Bhaskar Gupta sir to kindly guide our audience with this informative session.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, good afternoon to one and all. And thank you, sir, for such a nice introduction. Am I audible to you all?
Yes,
Am
sir.
I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So welcome to this wonderful session on lean startup and minimum viable product, which is, you have to really understand about what is the lean technology and what is the lean approach and what is minimum viable product for validation learning. If you really want to be successful entrepreneur or startup founder, if you want to open your business, thanks to the Ministry of Education Innovation Cell for establishing these IAC cells across the country in order to promote the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, in order to nurture your innovative and creative ideas into business opportunities. Thank you very much. Let me express my sincere gratitude to the President of IAC Cell, IES University, Convener, Vice President, Registrar Sir of the University, Vice Chancellor, and the organizers of the program. Let me just begin with my presentation quickly. Okay, thank you, sir. You have. So what is lean startup? Next slide, please. If we are talking about agility, I am going to talk about lean startup system next. What is a startup? We have to understand startup is usually a very small company, which is opened by budding entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, students who are fed up of monotonous kind of job, 8 hours job from 9 to 5. They want to do something different. They are thinking differently, like Apple Corporation, Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple Corporation. There are a number of examples in front of us. There are a number of unicorn startups. So startup is a very small company founded by young entrepreneurs with the support of family members, their friends, as there is no more working capital available with these budding entrepreneurs in just beginning. During any startup cycle, founders are moderate risk takers. There is no guarantee that your business will succeed. So they have to be the moderate risk takers. Next slide, please. A human institution designed to create something new under conditions of extreme uncertainty. What does it mean? Whenever you are going to open your business, your enterprise, a lot of uncertainty is there. What kind of uncertainty is there? Nobody knows whether your business will succeed or not. Even if you have developed some innovative product or the service you are going to offer into the market, or any process or any new technology which has been developed by you, nobody knows whether the customer will be attracted towards your product or service. So what I would like to say at this point of time, you would have to follow the different, design thinking principles. You have to really understand the concept of prototyping, minimum viable product, experimental proof of concept, design thinking. Next slide, please. The term startup refers to a company, as I have already told you, in the first stages of operations. Startups are founded by one or more entrepreneurs who want to develop a product or service for which they believe there is a demand in the market. These companies generally start with high costs and limited revenue, which is why they look for capital from a variety of sources, such as venture capitalists. What I mean to say at this point of time, whenever you are going to open your business, there is no working capital. Limited revenue generation is there. In fact, a lot of risk is there. Maybe your idea is innovative, but you would have to present your business pitch in front of angel investors, VCs, and successful entrepreneurs. If they find your idea innovative, if they find your marketing strategy proper, you have to explore about your market segment where you are actually going to commercialize your product. This is the pertinent point for marketing people, for angel investors who are going to invest money in your business. But the good thing is no equity stake is there. They are not looking for any kind of profit in your business. They are more interested towards your innovative approach. So what I would say, dear students, you have to innovate your product or the service or the process, whatever you are going to offer to the customers for commercialization, for revenue generation. Next slide, please. A startup is a company that's in the initial stages of business. Founders normally finance their startups and may attempt to attract outside investment before they get off the ground. Funding sources including family and friends, VCs, crowdfunding, and bank loans. Startups must also consider where they will do business and their legal structure. Startups come with high risk, as failure is very possible, but they can also be very unique places to work with great benefits, a focus on innovation, and great opportunities to learn. So what does it mean? That first you have to start with your family members, friends, crowdfunding approach, because no angel investor will be very much interested in investing money in your business, because you are just going to start your business. Nobody knows. Suppose I am asked to invest my money. I would like to see some innovativeness in your business, in your innovative product, in your innovative service, which you want to offer. So it's very hard, to get working capital in the earlier stages of any startup. So please, that's why it is said, entrepreneurs are very different people from the rest of the community. Why? Because a lot of risk is involved. They have different, qualities, different characteristics. And so many examples are in front of us, not just one, Ola, Uber, Airbnb, Misho, Oyo Rooms. These are all unicorn startups. In India, there are around 100 unicorn startups as of May 2022, out of which, 26 unicorn startups are founded by the alumni of IIT Delhi and IIT Chennai. So why only IIT Delhi people are opening their startups? Why not you? You could also be a successful, startup founder. Next. Startups are companies or ventures that are focused on a single product or service that the founders want to bring to the market. These companies typically don't have a fully developed business model and more crucially, lack adequate capital to move on to the next phase of the business. Most of these companies are initially funded by their founders. Many startups turn to others for more funding, including family, friends, and VCs. In USA, Silicon Valley is known for its strong venture VCs community and is a popular destination for startups, but is also widely considered the most demanding arena. Next. So at this point of time, I would like to tell you that if you have some innovative idea, dear students, you can approach the nearby incubators, accelerators, Atal incubation centers, Department of Science and Technology Nidhi Prayas scheme. And if your idea is really innovative, then the government funds are available. You can approach your nearby incubators. I'm also having one incubator, MSME supported incubator in my own college, where more than 35 startups are under this incubation program. And these startup companies have been developing a number of innovative, products basically. But I would suggest that because, the product development requires a lot of money. So you can actually go for some online application development type of services, online services, and it will be requiring no more money, little money will be required, and you can easily proceed further. Startups can use seed capital to invest in research and to develop their business plans. Market research helps determine the demand for a product or service, while a comprehensive business plan outlines the company's mission statement, vision, and goals, as well as management and marketing strategies. Next slide, please. There are a number of different factors which we have to consider that entrepreneurs must think of as they try to get their startups off the ground and begin operations. We have listed some of the most common ones below. The most important one is about location. If you are going to develop some innovative product, then selecting an appropriate location is the most prominent factor. Location can make or break any business, and it's often one of the most important considerations for anyone starting up in the business world. Startups must decide whether their business is conducted in online mode, in an office or home office, or in a store. The location depends on the product or the service being offered by you. For example, a technology startup selling something, virtual reality hardware, I need a physical space, physical storefront to give customers a face-to-face demonstration of the product's complex features. I hope you must have understood what I mean to say. You have to mainly focus on application development. If you have a lot of money, like angel investors who are the rich people, normally you can think of developing some innovative product, but it normally requires a lot of money in the beginning of the startup cycle, and there is no guarantee that. In fact, I would like to tell you, 3/4 of the startups in India fail every year. 3/4.
Sorry for the
So,
interruption,
what are
sir.
the reasons of this kind of failure? Number
Hello,
of
sir.
reasons are there. I will
Sir.
be discussing little later on, but I would suggest, if you are developing some product, then location selection is the most important point, where you can have
Hello, Bhaskar,
face-to-face
sir.
interaction with your
Hello.
customers, where you can define, something about your product's features, and you can think, about in different directions. Next slide, please. There are number of next.
Sir, your voice is a little bit clumsy. Your network, I thought, is
Next
not.
slide, please.
Yes, sir.
Startups need to consider. You have to be very much aware of the legal structure also. As a startup founder, startups need to consider what legal structure best fits their entity. A sole proprietorship is suited for a founder who is also the key employee of a business. Partnerships are a viable legal structure for businesses that consist of several people who have
Hello, sir, you are not audible. Bhaskar, sir. Hello. Bhaskar, sir, can you hear me? Hello, Bhaskar, sir, can you hear me? Bhaskar, sir, can you hear me? Am I audible?
companies. So I'm working in food service sector. And we have incorporated our company as private limited company. Next slide, please. Startups often raise funds by turning to family and friends or by using VCs. It's a group of professional investors that specialize in funding startups. Crowdfunding has become a very viable way for many people to get access to the cash they need to move forward in the business process. The entrepreneur sets up a crowdfunding page online, allowing people who believe in the company to donate money for your business. Next slide. So what is crowdfunding approach? You would like to know from me? Crowdfunding means there are a number of online platforms like Indian Angel Network, one example. You can log in and you can have a list of angel investors, VCs there, and they will be contacting you if they find your idea innovative, just like agri incubators. If any one of you is working innovatively in the area of agriculture science, then a lot of agri incubators are there. There are many angel investors through crowdfunding who might invest in your business related to agriculture related application development. So crowdfunding means you have to approach the angel investors by going online, So a lot of websites are there. I will provide a list and you can approach, you can talk to them. If they find your idea innovative and interesting, they will definitely provide you funding support. Next. There are a variety of advantages to working for a startup. More responsibility and opportunities to learn are too. As startups have fewer employees than large companies, established companies, employees tend to wear many hats. working in a variety of roles, which leads to more responsibility as well as opportunities to learn. Startups tend to be more relaxed in nature, making making the workplace more of a communal experience with flexible hours, increased employee interaction, and flexibility. Startups tend to also have better workplace benefits, such as nurseries for children, free food, and shorter work weeks. Next slide, please. The work at startups can also be more rewarding as innovation is welcomed and managers allow talented employees to run with innovative ideas with little supervision. One of the primary disadvantages of a startup is increased risk. This primarily applies to the success and longevity of a startup. New businesses need to prove themselves and raise capital before they can start turning a profit. Keeping investors happy with the startup's progress is critical. The risk of shutting down or not having enough capital to continue operations before turning a profit is ever present. Next slide. Dr. Deepan, would you please go to next slide?
Okay, sir.
Long hours are characteristic of startups as everyone is working toward the same goal to see the startup succeed. This can lead to high stress moments and sometimes compensation that is not commensurate with the hours worked. Competition is also always high as there tend to be a handful of startups working on the same idea. So it's very, very difficult actually. See, a lot of ideas are there. Whatever the product you are going to develop, it could be innovative, but make sure that whatever the product you are going to develop is as per the requirement of the customers. You have to empathize with your customers. You have to respect your customers. You have to understand their wants and needs, which is the first stage of any non-linear process, which is a design thinking process. If you fail to empathize your customers, your startup will fail and your innovative idea will die. What I mean to say, no customer will be there who will be interested in your developed product. Next slide, please. So what are the pros and cons? Let's have a look at this. More opportunities to learn. Yes, increased responsibility, flexibility is there, workplace benefits, innovation is always encouraged, flexible hours for you. Next. So what are cons? Risk of failure. I have already told you, 3/4 of startups fail every year in India, having to raise working capital, high stress, tension, anxiety, competitive business environment. Let me just tell you, it is not a blue ocean. It's have to work in red ocean conditions. A lot of competitors are there around you in the market. It's not very easy to survive in the market these days, particularly during this COVID-19 era, pandemic era. It was very, very difficult to survive. And I would like to tell you, most of the startups which were started during COVID-19, were from biotechnology area and pharmaceutical area. And 184 patents have been filed by Ranbaxy Laboratories, which is a record in India. Most of the pharmaceutical companies are registering their patents, examination, and then getting patented, getting granted. Next slide, please. Many dot-coms were a very common startup in 1990s. VC was extremely easy to obtain during this time due to a frenzy among investors to speculate on the emergence of these new business ventures. on the emergence of these new businesses. Unfortunately, most of these were internet startups. These internet startups eventually went bust due to major flaws in their business plans, such as lacking a path to sustainable revenue. However, a handful of companies survived when the dot-com bubble burst. Amazon and eBay are just two examples. Next slide, please. Many startups fail within the first few years. That's why this initial period is very important. Entrepreneurs need to find money, create a innovative business model like business model canvas, lean canvas model, and innovative business plan. Must be very brief, your business plan, which you want to pitch. Hire key personal, work out intricate details such as equity stakes in the beginning of any business for your partners and investors, and plan for the long run. Many of today's most successful companies. Please go back. Yes. Microsoft, Apple Corporation, and Meta, for online applications. Formerly Facebook, to name a few, began as startups and ended up becoming publicly traded companies. So no need to worry. A lot of examples are there in front of us who have now become unicorn startups. So you can also try. If you have some innovative idea, see, learn from the failures. Don't see the people who have succeeded, said by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam also. If you are going to see failures, you can have some innovative idea to start your want to do as an innovator, as budding entrepreneur, or whatever you want to do, wherever you want to excel. Next slide, please. How can you start your own startup company? The first step in starting a startup is having a great and innovative idea. Innovation comes from creativity and imagination. Creativity is very fuzzy idea, which can never be realized. Imagination is very concrete idea, which can never be realized. Plan that will outline your company's structure, your objective, goals, mission, vision, milestones. It would be the next step. One of the most important steps is obtaining financial funding. This can come from savings, friends, family, investors, or bank loans. After raising funding, make sure you have done all the correct legal and paperwork. This means registering your business and obtaining any required licenses or permits. After this, you can establish your business location. From there, you can create your advertising and marketing plan to attract your end users. Establish a customer base and adapt as your business grows. Next slide, please. Starting a company can be a difficult venture, but a rewarding one. Having a great idea and attempting to bring it to a market comes with a host of challenges, such as attracting capital, employees, marketing, legal work, and managing finances. Keep in mind, though, that startups lead to increased job satisfaction and the possibility of leaving a regular legacy. Next. So startup is usually about innovative ideas, your planning, your teamwork, investments, emerging trends, financial resources, marketing strategy, and about your innovative product, which you are going to develop next. If you look at this ecosystem, which is a startup ecosystem, it is about to develop entrepreneurial culture in your academic institution, mentoring support by incubators and accelerators, will be providing you co-working space, seed funding for a minimum period of 2 years. You can approach regulatory environment because several regulations are there. Of course, you have to collaborate with others. Visible success. Of course, a lot of tolerance is very much required. Working capital. And of course, you need not to have any kind of scientific skills. You don't have to be the scientist. You are not going for invention. When it comes to innovation, the conversion of knowledge into wealth is referred to as innovation, like disruptive kind of innovation. Disruptive kind of innovation, radical innovation, incremental innovation, sustaining kind of innovation. So just like Uber, Ola, these are using disruptive kind of innovation where you are going to make use of some innovative business models in order to disrupt the existing market, right? Next slide, please, doctor. Types of startups around us are existing in number of ways. If you want to support the society, you have to go for social startups, viable startups, small business startup, large company startups, scalable. So at this point of time, I would tell you that scalability and sustainability are the two important issues which you have to consider while opening your business. Next slide. How business incubators help your startup. Angel investors list will be provided to you by your TBI, mentoring support, technical assistance. Of course, if you want to protect your intellectual property, which is the creation of the human intellect, to disclose into the open public, you can go for patenting, copyright, trademarks, trade secrets, geographical indication, industrial designs, and different types of plant varieties. The number of different types of IPRs existing in India. Marketing expertise, accounting services, social networking, shared costs, inexpensive workplace, seed funding, of course. Next slide. Startup is equal to experiment. That's very right. Next slide. Nobody knows what is going to happen. You have to do experimentation. So what is lean startup? An approach that advocates creating small products that test the creator's assumptions and hypotheses and using customer feedback, validation, learning to evolve our product, thereby reducing waste. Lean hardware. The lean concept means improving the productivity of the company with the least efforts in the minimum time. Lean approach has to do nothing with the time, which is misnomer. Next slide, please. And this is a statement by who established this lean approach, Eric Ries. It's a method to systematically address uncertainty, extreme uncertainty, through rapid iteration, prototyping, and market learning. Next. Lean startup is a process for validating and invalidating your assumptions as quickly as possible. Lean startup always starts with a vision. Once you have understood the people around you, you have understood their wants and needs, you have understood their pains, their needs, you should have some vision, and based on which you are going to develop some innovative product and offering the service. Next slide. So you must have some innovative idea. You have to start with what? Empathy. So you have to You have to start with, ideation. Once you have a problem statement which has been defined, you have to create innovative idea. You have to develop your prototype. And after that, you have to go for testing and evaluation. Next, you should have some innovative business model. Your customer, you have to validate, you have to create your customer database, and then you can build your own company. That's the customer development process. Next slide, please. You have to pivot on your product. You have to make iterations on your product. Once your product is not acceptable in the market, change of strategy based on validate learning, a special kind of change designed to test a new fundamental hypothesis about the product, business model, and engine of growth. A pivot requires that we keep one foot or strategy. Next. If you don't know what you are doing, better do it fast. And that's the right approach. Even if you are going to make some mistakes, during your startup journey, quit it immediately. Otherwise, it will take a long time. And after that, you cannot do anything. So immediately. Next slide, please. Customer development process. I have already discussed customer validation, customer validation. Dr. Deepa, next slide, please. So there are known unknowns. These are things that we know. There are known unknowns. That is to say, there are things that we know we don't know, but there are also unknown unknowns. There are things we don't know we don't know. By Donald Rumsfeld. Please. So you have to think about product development. So if you have an unknown, you have to go to the requirements of the customer. You have to design the product or whatever you want to do. You have to implement it. You have to verify the things by validation, and then you have to go for maintenance. And here solution is known to us. Next. Agility. Here the problem is known, but solution is unknown. So you are the product owner or the service, and then you have unknown. So extreme programming. So what does uncertainty is there? You have unknown solution. So a lot of uncertainty is there. No guarantee is there. Right. Next. Customer development engineering is about you have unknown problem and unknown solution. Again, you have to go for customer, discovery. You have to do customer validation. You have to create your customer. You have to go for scaling and improvement and market expandability. Next. So what is lean startup approach? Here you have unknown problem, unknown solution. A lot of uncertainty is there. So please do remember there is no guarantee that using the next. Startups search for always assumptions about the unknown. Existing companies execute what you know. Next. So what would be the result? You build some innovative projects, innovative products, where your customer will be attracted. So it must be highly innovative. Next. The why before the what. Most startups don't fail because they can't build a great product, but because no one wanted their product or the service. They were not interested. That is one of the common reasons that startups failed. Next. What is the foundation? If you look at this cycle, the lean startup cycles is having, please go to previous one. Yes. Building, measuring, and learning. So first, you want to build something. You have to measure it. You have to your product, the data. You have to learn from that data, and then you have to move to the building. Learning is often used as an excuse for a failure of execution or after the fact realization, rational. To draw a clear distinction, lean learning is the process of demonstrating empirically that a team has discovered valuable truths about the startup's present and future business prospects. Next. Hello, next. Go to next slide, please. Learning is often used as an doctor, please. So if you see this picture, build, measure, learn cycle.
Sir, next slide.
Establish innovative accounting, establish real data on where the company is right now. It applies to the measure and learn phases in the loop. After the startup has made all the micro changes and product optimization, it can move its baseline toward the ideal. The company reaches a decision point. Was the hypothesis assumptions correct? What changes are necessary to the current strategy? Next. Lean startups life cycle I have already discussed. Starts with building, measurements, and learning. Plus, please do remember you have to next. So if you comparing with Deming's wheel is having more stages: planning, doing, checking, acting. So it's better to go to lean approach, requiring building, measurements, and learning. So here you can see minimum time is taken. Right, next. Next slide. What is minimum viable product? The version of product that enables a full turn of the build, measure, learn loop with a minimum amount of effort and the least amount of development time. Has core features which allow the product to be deployed, helps in avoiding building a product that the customers do not want, can be deployed to early adopters that are thought to be more likely to provide feedback. Next. So the quality principle, if we do not know who the customer is, we do not know what quality is, try not to presuppose what attribute of the product will the customer consider as worthwhile. Learn what the customers care about, remove any feature, process, or effort that does not contribute directly to the learning that you seek. Next. What are the problems in building? Legal issues, fear of competition, branding and marketing risks, fear of failure. Next. These are the most common problems actually encountered during the startup journey. Next slide. Next slide, doctor. Next slide, please. Dear doctor, next slide. The minimum viable is a combination of minimum and viable.
Sir, his voice is not audible properly. So shall I forward to the next slide? Bhaskar sir? Bhaskar sir, you are not audible.
Am I now audible?
Yes, sir.
Actually, I'm stuck in a traffic jam. Actually, I am traveling in a car.
Okay, okay, sir. So no problem. Yeah, because your voice
Uh,
is not coming up, so that's why. So
no problem.
okay.
MVP is the, sorry.
So shall I go to the next slide?
The minimum viable product is that no, I have not read the minimum viable amount of validated learning about customers with the least efforts. That is a statement by Eric Ries. Next. So if you look at this MVP development process, maturity over a period of time, it takes long time in trial and error method only. After a long time, you reach up to the experimental, and after that, you have some. Next slide, doctor. Advantages, if you look, prototype development will be there, low risk investment and short development time for MVP, minimum viable product. Next. So minimum viable product is designed to change the world, supposed to solve a real problem related to the world, built to learn user feedback.
So your voice is breaking.
More minimal than about getting profit is a carving stone. Next. Hello, Dr. Bilwan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
There are several myths about lean startup. The lean means cheap. It is never cheap. Lean startups try to spend as little money as possible. Lean has to do nothing with the money management. Let me tell you what's the truth. The lean startup method is not about costing. It's about the speed of productivity. And by reducing time through your build, measure, and learn cycle. Next. What is next myth? You see two. Number two, the lean startup is only for software companies. No, it is for almost all types of companies having some uncertainty, like lean manufacturing, lean hardware, lean software. Almost in every company, the lean startup approach is being used. Next. This is myth three. Lean startups are small startups. Lean startups are ambitious and are able to deploy large amounts of capital. So next. Lean startups is not cheap startup. It is fast startup. Shortcut is not there and guarantee is not there. Next. Failing fast, spending less money, failing cheap, spend less time, put a process or any
The voice is breaking. Hello, Bhaskar sir, your voice is breaking. You are not audible. You are not audible properly, sir. Your voice is breaking. Hello, sir. You are not audible. Bhaskar sir, you are not audible.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. But it still, sir, it is very
Okay.
clumsy, not properly.
Yeah, actually, I am traveling in a car due to some emergency. Would
Uh,
you please go to next slide?
yes, sir.
So you really hit the bullseye, but this never stopped you from playing. Next. Design an experiment that attempts to answer the question by Eric Ries. Create series of fast and cheap micro experiments that lead you to validated learning. Next. Next slide, sir. So what is validated learning? The startups. So what is summary? If you compare the Agile Manifesto versus Lean startups, next slide. So we value working software over documentation during Agile Manifesto, but Lean startup is different. We value learning over working software, right? So please do remember the Lean startup approach is nothing which is about validated learning. What does it mean? Whenever you are going to develop your prototype, just demonstrate it in front of your customers, get feedback from them, and according to their needs and wants, improve and add features, do some value proposition so that you can make it as per their requirement. That is the validated learning concept with reduced efforts and and in the least time. That is the about, this is the conclusion about your lean startup and minimum viable product. And minimum viable product means prototype. After that, you have to develop, must have, which is almost having the same features as your original product, but will be launched for the feedback purpose only. Once your MVP is accepted in the market,
So your voice not coming? Bhaskar sir? Hello, Bhaskar sir?
sir, go to next slide.
Okay, sir.
So lean startup is about move as fast as possible. Learn as much as possible. Don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to fail. Validate your learning. Next. Next slide.
Sir, your voice is not coming. Hello, sir? Sir, your voice is not coming. Sir, your voice is not coming. It is breaking a lot.
Hello, doctor. Am I audible?
Sir, his voice is breaking a lot. I can't hear you properly.
My microphone is on. I don't know what is
Sir, you're not.
happening.
Sir, your network is very much
Lean
disturbed.
startup method.
Uh, Okay, all the participant dignitaries, sorry for the interruption. Due to technical reasons, our expert has been left out, and maybe he might not join because of certain emergency under medical reasons. So, because of that only, from my side, I can conclude this session by giving vote of thanks from our university side. So, on behalf of IUS University, I would like to conclude the session with a vote of thanks. So I hope we all enjoyed this immense learning session up to which there is no such technical reason will be there. Uh, it was really an engrossing and fruitful session at start. On behalf of IUS University Bhopal, I would like to give my hearty vote of thanks to our guest speakers for today's session, Dr. Bhaskar Gupta, for your wonderful, informative, and insightful session. I would like to express my deep gratitude to the Honorable Chancellor, Engineer P.S. Yadav, sir, for his never-ending encouragement and guidance to organize such sessions. Thanks to IS management team who made this virtual session a resounding success through perfect teamwork and cooperation. Last but not the least, thanks to all those who attended this session and made the session a huge success. Stay tuned for more such captivating session with IS University Bhopal. Stay home, stay safe and stay tuned with IF University. Thank you.